Today, we're going to talk about student debt guidelines as well as housing guidelines, how much you should be spending. Again, they're just guidelines, so don't get mad at me. I'm just trying to give you a set of parameters or a box that you can stay inside of or feel good about overall. It's worked for my wife and I hope it can work for maybe you and someone else that you might know. Trying a different intro here today, not doing the different video, just going to start on the laptop and kind of keep cruising this way. I got some Google Sheets we're going to work with today, and any questions you got, you let me know. So the first thing that I want to talk about overall is, yes, I Googled Google. Okay, I had to just pull this up. But the first thing that I'm going to look at is just the average student debt in the USA, just to get a gauge for kind of where we're at here. Obviously, this depends on what major you are, what college you're going to, scholarship, non-scholarship, all that stuff. So it says, right around this 30 to 40,000 range of student debt, which is not that bad when you think about it in terms of what we're going to talk about here in a second. Obviously, people have way more, way less. It's really skewed, but just get you some averages there. So what my guideline is going to be that you're going to see here is going to be you do not spend more in student debt or take out more in student debt than your first year salary. Okay, and so we're going to go through some case studies on this. So when I go back to this Google Sheet here, I'll share this with you. I don't want more student debt than whatever your first year salary is going to be. Okay, the reasoning behind that is that if you are going to a fancy liberal arts college, which I went to Hope College, it's a good school, I'm not dissing liberal arts at all, but if you are going to take out a ton of student debt for a degree that you could have gotten cheaper elsewhere and you're not going to make a ton of money, we might have a little disconnect there. So that is what we're trying to figure out and see, like, what I'm actually going to school for, am I actually thinking about the major that I'm going to get and how much money I'm taking out to actually fulfill this degree. All right, that's what we're kind of going through today. So this one's not too bad to understand. I have my first example here. We took out $60,000 in debt. Okay, that's what this part says. We are going to major in public accounting, so that's what I majored in originally. And we're just going to live in Michigan. Now, the only reason I put the where to live is because different states have different salaries, obviously. In California, you're going to make more money than in Michigan, just because cost of living. So in this scenario, we would have $60,000 of debt, okay? Now, when I go to Google, and I think I have a different one Googled up here, but we can just change it overall. So when I go over here, we're going to look up average first year salary as a public accountant in Michigan. Okay, it's not going to be perfect, but who cares? So it says that a public accountant in Michigan might average between 55 and 65. So that would be like right at what, $60,000? I think that's what I had over here. I had 65,000 here, so I went with the high end. But even if we changed this to the low end there, and we went to that middle ground of 60 grand, we would still be in this yes area of, okay, the total debt that we're taking out is probably going to be able to be paid back because our first year salary is above or right at that total debt amount. So this would still stay a yes. When I looked it up earlier when I was prepping for this video, I think I got a little bit different averages, which you probably will too, and that's okay. Like this might have been, no, this was still in Michigan. Different websites give you different stuff, so that's okay. All right, so let's go to another example. So the second one here says that we took out a lot more debt, $150,000, but we are going to be a dentist and we're going to live in Colorado. So we took out $150,000 in debt, and then when I Googled it earlier, it showed about $200,000 as first year salary, but we'll verify that. So first year salary as a dentist in Colorado. And yeah, so that's where I got. So 200,000 comes right from here, right? And so that's where I had that number going back. And so that's where if we are going to go to be a dentist and you're going to take out a lot of debt to do so, that is fine. We took out 150 in debt. Our first year salary is going to be 200. So that is just meaning that my shovel, right? Your shovel is your income, is going to be enough to pay for the debt that I've accumulated. That's kind of this goal that we're trying to get at here. All right. Third one and final example is that we took out 100,000 in debt and we are going to major in communications. Not to make fun of communications majors, but this is like the most common one that I see with being really expensive overall debt-wise to salary. And we're going to live in California, so we should get paid more because we live in California. So the total debt's 100 grand. When I looked up the first year salary, it was around 62,000. So you already know it's going to fail my rule. But let's see, average year, first year salary as a communication major in California. We're going to see what that pops up. Should be similar to what I had. So it says roughly 52 to 70. So I went right in the middle there, kind of at that 60-ish range. And so if we go back over here, I did 62,000, but again, that is still going to be under the 100,000 debt, and so that would be kind of a no-go. So I just don't think teaching high school, I don't think enough people when they go to that next step, when their counselors or whoever tell them that this is, or parents, this is what you should do. I don't think they think about this, and this goes the same for trade school. Like whatever trade you're going into, make sure that the debt that you take out, if you're paying for trade school, is not going to exceed your first year salary, because we don't want to start our lives in a huge negative hole without kind of thinking about the salary that I'm going to make from this degree that I'm going to get. Okay? Not to push anyone on college. Trade school I think is awesome. I also think working for yourself or doing other things out of high school can also be really successful. I am for all things. Okay? Moving into the second part of today's video. I didn't think that'd be enough for like a longer YouTube video, so I wanted to do two parts here. So again, I'll share this with you, but we're going to close out of this right now. The second part that we're going to talk about is housing overall, okay? And before we get into it, I want to Google something. So let's Google percent of income on average that people spend on housing USA. All right, let's see what it comes up with. So on average, it says people spend 30% of income on housing. So before everyone, or the two people that watch this get mad at me, couple things here. All right, I know the market's hot, and I know mortgage rates are a little bit higher than what they've been for the past like decade, but you can go outside of your scope for housing to find it to be cheaper. All right, this broad brush thing of all housing is unaffordable, I just don't believe it, because for my wife and I, we followed the rule I'm about to put in place. So just kind of like a precursor to what we're going into. So on average, Americans spend 30% of their income on housing. Okay, so just for a quick example here, if I bring up a calculator, we'll just do some simple math, but I like to show it to at least have it. If we make $100,000, we would then spend $30,000 on housing. Okay, 30% of our income, which would leave you with about a monthly rent or mortgage payment of $2,500. That's the if you make $100,000. Okay, because it's 30% of whatever income you make. All right. My rule is a little bit more conservative than this. I think this is too much money to be spending on housing. And so when we go over here to this Google Sheet, you're going to see that my rule is that housing is no more than 25% of your gross income. All right. So in the scenario we just did, if you make 100,000, you can't spend 30 grand. You can only spend 25. Now, if you don't know what I'm including in this, I'm including the principal on your loan, the interest on your loan, the property tax, and the house insurance, or other known as a mortgage. Those are the four things that I'm including in this 25% of gross income. So I'm not including utilities, I'm not including maintenance, things like that. 25% from those four items is where I think you should fall. Okay, so let's go with some examples here. Again, this is from my perspective of being comfortable. And so you can obviously do what you want with your life, but just trying to give you some parameters that would have helped my wife and I think. So this first one here, we have a monthly income of 2,500, and we have a monthly mortgage of 2,500, and a gross income of 60,000. Okay, and so when I transfer this this yearly income to monthly, we would make 5,000 a month. Our mortgage is 2,500. That is 50% of your income. You will never be able to invest or live comfortably if you're making that much of your income go to housing. You're going to say, well, what if I make 60 grand and the cheapest rent in my area is 2,500? Then you need to move further away, or you need to make more income. That's the harsh reality that people don't want to hear. And I get it, it's tough, but like, you can drive further to work, or you can do side jobs to make more money. Those are like your couple of options there. So first one's a no, okay, as far as like the rule goes. And you can buy more house than you can afford, but I'm just going to tell you right now, it's not going to be a happy life for you. Second one, we had the monthly mortgage being 1,500, and we had gross income of 80,000. We convert that 80,000 to monthly income of about 6,600. Our monthly mortgage is 1,500. That is about 22.5%. And so that is under 25%, so you are good. The lower you get your housing payment to overall income, the more freedom you're gonna have to do other stuff with your life. You don't want to be house poor. That's not a good thing to do in general, and everything that you have is in a house, okay? Third and final example here that we are gonna go into is going to be a monthly mortgage of $4,000, a yearly income of 192. We divide that by 12. We have monthly income of 16 grand from a gross perspective. Okay, our mortgage is $4,000, and so I just wanted to do a perfect 25% one here so that you could see what that would look like to be straight up 25%. Now here's a couple of notes that I want to make for you before we kind of close off here. So on the housing side of things, your income theoretically should be going up every single year, right? Inflation, raises, stuff like that. Your mortgage payment, I know your taxes and insurance will go up, but your fixed part of the principal and the interest on the loan will stay the same. And so as your income climbs, your taxes and insurance will climb a little bit, but not as much as your income. So that percentage, if you have 25% of your income going to housing right now and you stay in that house, over time, theoretically, it should decrease to a lower percentage, which makes you more comfortable with how much money you could then spend on other areas of your life. Okay, so again, just guidelines overall. The student debt side, I really would like students to focus on prior to them actually going to school and making a decision, because that is like something that I don't think a lot of kids think about overall, is how much money am I going to make from this degree, and how much money am I putting into the debt that I'm accumulating for it. Housing wise, same concept, right? Like, how much of my income is going to go to housing, how much can I really afford? Hopefully those two areas are helpful for you. Any questions, let me know. Chris Lee, Everyday Finance. Hopefully you can get some use out of this video, and I will see you in the next one.